Okay, today we're going to be reviewing Siman Reish Sadi. The topics of the Siman are the derasha on Shabbos, learning Torah, the obligation, so to say, to come up with a new Torah idea, an insight, a chiddush, napping on Shabbos, and 100 berachos on Shabbos. This is a Word document consisting of 5 pages that I typed up, summarizing what we've been learning about on the siman. We had around 6 or 7 sessions approximately. So this is summarizing. We'll be able to cover it in around a half hour. That's all. Lastly, we'll put on the bottom the chapters. So if you want, you could just skip to one of the sections if you're more interested in that. Let's discuss the derasha. This is obviously the rabbi gets up and he gives a shiur in the shul. It's popular. A lot of people attend. The question is, what should that be about? Also, when should that be? So the Beis Yosef quotes the Medrash Tanchuma, which says that there's no parsha in the Torah that says to gather Vayakel, except for Parshas Vayakel. And Hashem said, make big congregations on Shabbos in order to teach future generations to gather every Shabbos into shul and base medrash to learn Torah. Another explanation is that Hashem says if you gather together in shul and the base medrash and read Torah, learn Torah and Navi, I will consider as if you made me king. So we see that there's 2 explanations over here in this Beis Yosef, quoting this Medrash Tanchuma. Beis Yosef says that from here we can derive the basis to gather in shul, to read from the Torah and have a derasha, and the Beis Yosef says on Agada, after eating. So he says, number 1, it's on Agada. Number 2, it's after eating Shabbos morning. Those are 2 interesting things that we see from this Beis Yosef over here. 2 unique points. So we see 2 interesting points from the Beis Yosef. Firstly, we see that the derasha should be about Agada. So stories, ethics, ideas, lessons, and secondly, we see that the derasha should be after the Suda, after the big meal on Shabbos that you have in the morning. It should be pointed out that the Eliya Raba says that since that there are Svarim, we have many Svarim that discuss the halachos of Shabbos in English, Hebrew, all languages easy to read. The derasha could be completely about Agada. It doesn't have to be about halacha. This would be supporting the Beis Yosef. Eliya Raba does say that there still should be some halacha on Shabbos. Now the Ber Yitzchak in Parshas Vayakel explains that it's implied from the Beis Yosef that the derasha does not need to be about halacha. The main priority is that the Jews should be gathered to your Torah. They will make Hashem king this way. It should be pointed out that the Machazik Bracha argues on the Eliya Raba's statement that the derasha doesn't need to be about halacha because people are going to learn halacha from Svarim. Hearing something from a competent rabbi is incomparable to reading something. The reason for this is the rabbi knows exactly what people need to improve with. The rabbi will cater his derasha accordingly. The rabbi will rebuke people for not learning the Svarim also. The main part of the derasha should be about warning people of the severity of sinning and the associated punishments. Ben Ish Chai says that the main part of the derasha should be about Agada, even so the rabbi should mention halacha by tying it into his derasha. So this is a whole discussion exactly what it should be about. And here's really the main opinion that argues on this, the Bach. According to the Bach, the derasha has to be about hilchos Shabbos. Bach says that it is implied from the Yalkut Shimoni and the Gemara in Sota and Daf Mem that the derasha must be on hilchos Shabbos. And the Bach has a very strong opinion about this. Bach says that it became prevalent for the derasha to be on Agado and not halacha, and he says this is against what the Torah says. His language is mechadash Torah. The main part of the derasha must be halacha, says the Bach, in order to teach people what to do. Part of the derasha should be focused on causing people to fear Hashem and for your sinning. The rabbi giving the derasha shouldn't try to show off his wisdom. Yesod Veshoresh Mishna Berura says that the derasha should have halachic content which applies to the current parsha. So in other words, it should be about halacha, but the halacha always ties into the parsha. The Ber Yitzchak asks, how can the Bach say that a derasha without halacha is, quote, against what the Torah says? If the Beis Yosef says that there doesn't need to be halacha in the derasha, how could you say this? That it's against the Torah? The Beis Yosef himself said this. There doesn't need to be halacha, it could be an all agada. He rejects the Bach's proof, so to say, from the Gemara. That's not the simple explanation of that Gemara in Sota Daf Mem, if you look it up. Furthermore, it's implied from the Yalkut that the derasha could be an agadita. So that exact Yalkut that is quoted, if you look at the end of it, it's implied it could be an agada. So those are the Ber Yitzchak. That is his defense. That's how the Ber Yitzchak will stick up for the Beis Yosef, and that will be the rebuttal to the Bach, which very few people merit understanding this because simply they're not learning the Bach and the Beis Yosef, and even if they are, a lot of times they're not learning the footnotes in the Yesod Veshoresh Mishna Berura. So this is a beautiful idea that we were zoichet to have a comprehensive understanding of this because we learn both. This is the Ber Yitzchak in Parshas Vayaka. Ber Yitzchak concludes by saying that preferably one should be stringent and there should be some halacha during the derasha. Nevertheless, there are different customs and they are all acceptable. People's hearts are drawn after agada. It causes one to serve Hashem wholeheartedly and keep the mitzvahs. However, the sefer called the Pri Adam on the Rambam, Parachav Gimel Halacha Yud Tes, rejects the Ber Yitzchak and says that the Beis Yosef and Bach do not argue. He makes peace between them. The Beis Yosef holds that the derasha needs to be primarily halacha based. The beginning of the derasha could be about agada, because that will cause people to listen. In other words, you start with agada. It's also clear from the Gemara and the Beis Yosef, the Gemara in Shabbos, in Kuftas Vav, as well as the Beis Yosef in Siman Shin Zayin, this way as well. When the Beis Yosef says in Siman Reish Adiyar Siman that the derasha should be about agada, that refers to after the Suda. After you have your meal on Shabbos in the morning, you're not allowed to learn about halacha because some people are intoxicated. You can't learn halacha while being intoxicated. This is why the Shulchan Aruch, written by the same Rebbe Yosef Kairu, also wrote the Beis Yosef, says that after the Suda, one should learn basically Navi, Agada, Torah, Chumash. Unlike the Torah, who says after napping, koivin medrash, after sleeping, people will no longer be intoxicated, and the derasha should be about halacha. So that makes a lot of sense, ties in into the language of the Shulchan Aruch and the Torah, and this is a beautiful idea as to the difference between the language of the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch said, after your Suda, after you eat, you can't learn halacha. That's why you have the Gada. But the Torah is referring to a step after that, after a person naps. Koivin medrash, that's when you learn halacha.
And that would be what the Bach was saying.
Yes, and that's why the Bach was fiery against just Agada, because it's after the nap, according to this explanation. Magen Avraham says that the derasha should be about halacha and instill fear into people's hearts. According to Eishel Avram, the Pri Megadim, the derasha could be about either halacha or Musar/Agada. Musar really is Agada. However, it cannot be pilpul. This is an important line. The derasha cannot be pilpul. Mishna Berura says that the custom is for the derasha to be before mincha, about hilchos Shabbos, and have a little motzei. Mishna Berura holds like the Bach and the Magen Avram, the derasha should therefore have a combination of halacha and agada. In summary, we have 4 different opinions regarding what the derasha should be about. According to Bach, mainly hilchos Shabbos. According to Magen Avram, a mixture of halacha and fear of heaven. According to Eshel Avram, the derasha could be about either halacha or motzei. Interesting, messed up again. According to Beis Yosef, Shulchan Aruch, agada. Shulchan Aruch Harav says that everyone needs to come to listen to the derasha or learn individually if the derasha isn't proper. Maggid Mishnah says that the derasha should be before eating the Suda, meal Shabbos morning. Okay, so over here you have a Maggid Mishnah for a source that it should be before the Suda.
Shabbos morning.
What?
Shabbos morning.
Yeah. Furthermore, even scholars should attend the derasha, Talmidei Chachamim, because a big gathering would strengthen the religion and, quote, guard the borders. Mishna Berura says that this is open rebuke to those who take leisurely strolls during the derasha. One isn't even allowed to be involved with the Suda, the Shabbos meal, which is a mitzvah during the derasha because of Bittul Torah. It's wasting time from learning. This certainly applies to being involved in an optional activity or conversing. People, they go outside to the hallway in the shul, they just schmooze with one another. It's terrible.
We're talking about this the halacha brought down to the shlishis, right?
That was saying that, referring to those who hold that the derasha is before mincha, it can't get dragged after into shalosh shudas. That's an excellent. Mishna Berura rules that the derasha should not continue into shalosh shudas and cause people to miss shalosh shudas. Can't be too long. So, this is the story about the derasha. Any questions, comments regarding the derasha?
What would happen if there's learning like before mincha and after mincha? One should have shalshadas earlier in the day.
I don't think so, no.
What does that mean, the learning before and after?
Let's say the Rav of that shul has
Yeah.
learning, there's learning before mincha,
Yes.
and then there's learning after mincha, going right up to Seisef Chacham.
Okay.
Says if the long Shabbosim, I guess it would be
Person.
possible to eat shalshadas before all that, so you could be part of the Talmud Torah, the Rab.
Right. Yeah. But or just quickly after mincha. Yeah. Quickly have something. I don't know why they would do that in a shul that doesn't have an earlier mincha gedola. When do they expect people to have shalosh shudas? Preferably have shalosh shudas after mincha, as we learned in Siman Reish Adi Aleph.
I guess by the long Shabbosim, they expected to make 4:30.
So if you have an earlier mincha, then that's fine. So try to daven earlier. Yeah. Next topic: learning Torah. Torah says that after one sleeps, he should learn Torah. Koivin medrash. The medrash relates that the Torah asks Hashem, "Who will learn me?" Once they enter into Israel, everyone's gonna be busy tending their fields and working. Hashem responded that no one will work on Shabbos and will be able to learn the Torah then. Torah then says that one needs to set time to learn. Then, medrash, it's prohibited to have a meal during this learning time. See Gittin Lamed Chesem Beis, harsh Gemara over there. Ramah rules that people who work full time during the week must learn more Torah on Shabbos! Exclamation point. Conversely, Talmidei Chachamim who learn Torah during the week should be more involved with physical pursuits on Shabbos, such as eating and drinking. Source of this Ramah is Yerushalmi and a Medrash Tanchuma. The Gemara relates that there are 2 different opinions in the Yerushalmi. One opinion holds that Shabbos and Yom Tov were only created for eating and drinking. Another opinion holds Shabbos and Yom Tov were only created for learning Torah. Medrash Tanchuma reconciles this by stating that there is no argument. Rather, it depends on the person. The Talmud Chacham must eat and drink more than he does during the week on Shabbos and Yom Tov. However, someone who works must learn more Torah on Shabbos than he does during the week. Also, the Mishna Berura explains that even though people who work are obligated to set aside time daily, nevertheless on Shabbos they must learn more Torah than during the week. Derasha says that Shabbos is an auspicious time to learn Torah. The neshama yisara Extra soul helps us learn Torah. Shita Mikubetzis also says that the neshama yisara gives us divine assistance to learn Torah on Shabbos. Ben Ishchai quotes Mikubalim, who say that the Torah one learns on Shabbos is 1,000 times better than the Torah one will learn during the week. Than the Torah one learns during the week. Rav Harfenis quotes the Shar HaMelech, who says that the angels that get created from one's Torah learning on Shabbos are better than the angels that get created from one Torah learning during the week. Harfenis says that one should strive to learn the Beis Medrash on Shabbos. According to Yabed, someone who learns Torah in depth on Shabbos violated and desecrated Shabbos. The reason for this is someone who learns in depth nullifies his own Shabbos. Similarly, Ksav Sefer says that a Talmid Chacham who learns Torah in depth will be too preoccupied with his learning and won't eat his Suda properly, etc. However, Chidah and others argue. Shilas V'Tshuvas Torah Lishma quotes Yerushalmi that says that it was the norm for people to learn Torah in depth on Shabbos. So others argue on this. Just want to point out the math that we did. The Vilna Gaon, if the Torah learning is 1,000 times better, the Vilna Gaon says every single word of Torah is a positive mitzvah. Chafetz Chaim said you can learn 200 words per minute. 200 words per minute times 60 minutes in an hour is 12,000. Times 1,000 is 12 million. You get 12 million mitzvahs by sitting down and learning uninterrupted for 1 hour on Shabbos. The Rav Chaim Volozhin says that when a person learns with happiness for 1 hour, it's better than if a person learns when he wasn't happy when he was learning for more hours. If you take that and talking about a person who sits down and learns with happiness, it's way more than 12 million mitzvahs. Something incredible to think about. Are we obligated to come up with the Torah insight on Shabbos? Eliya Raba says that there is an obligation to be mechadash Torah, to create a Torah insight every Shabbos. Like the Zohar says, on motzei Shabbos after Shabbos, the neshama yisara, the extra soul, will turn to heaven. Hashem will ask the neshama yisara what this new insight was. Mishna Berura says someone who wasn't able to create a Torah insight should learn something new on Shabbos. Yesod Veshoresh Haavoda says that someone who thinks of a way to improve serving Hashem, or accepts on himself a new good act is considered as if he created a Torah insight. In fact, he says that there's no greater insight than that. Shabbos nap. Torah says that someone who regularly naps in the afternoon should not nullify this because it is a pleasure for him. Ma quotes and rules like the Torah, Mishna Berura comments that only someone who cannot learn Torah without napping is allowed to nap. It's based on what is discussed in Siman Reish Lamed Aleph. Eliya Raba says that one shouldn't sleep too much because that would be bittul Torah, waste time for Torah. Shabbos stands for Sheina B'Shabbos Tanug. That sleeping on Shabbos is a pleasure, but it also stands for Sheina Bittul Torah. Sleeping is a waste of time. Waste of time from learning. Mishna Berura quotes and rules like this Eliya Raba that what not to sleep too much. Similarly, Seder Hayom says that if sleep grabbed a person, conquered a person, he couldn't help himself, he was so sleepy, then he should sleep a little, but not a lot. Even though the Arizal took a nap for 2 or 3 hours every Shabbos, nevertheless, we shouldn't do this. The Arizal was able to tap into very high and lofty levels when he would nap, unlike us. The Arizal once told one of his students that what he was able to spiritually achieve while napping, he wouldn't be able to achieve in 80 years while being awake. I don't think any of us are near that level. Number one. Number two is you got to do the other arizals also.
What's the dot?
Not to sleep too much. Because what it could like lead to and everything. And so I should just take it out.
No, I'm just got whether I did it. I
No,
don't
no.
understand it.
Yeah. Meaning you sleep a lot, you end up sleeping 5 hours, you waste your whole day, then you don't sleep at night. Furthermore, one shouldn't sleep less before Shabbos in order that he could use Shabbos to, quote, catch up on his sleep. Opposite. We learned in the past in previous simanim, remember the siman, what was it, Reish Nun? That a person should try to take an Erev Shabbos nap.
Yep,
Sleep before Shabbos so that you can focus better on Shabbos.
Mm-hmm.
For the Suda, for more Torah learning. We see the repetitious common themes that are repeating itself. The Arizal, furthermore, one shouldn't sleep less before Shabbos in order that he can use Shabbos to quote catch up on his sleep. Lastly, many Sfarim discuss the importance of not overeating on Shabbos. Someone who overeats will become sleepy. Being sleepy will cause one to sleep for a long time, which will be bittul Torah. We must utilize our time to learn Torah and serve Hashem, especially on Shabbos, like we said above. Harfinus says that one can fulfill the mitzvah of sleeping on Shabbos by going to sleep earlier than one is used to Shabbos night. One doesn't need to take a nap Shabbos afternoon. In fact, Chesed Lafim says that someone who is able to should force himself not to sleep during the day on Shabbos. However, many do relate this custom of napping Shabbos afternoon. After all, the word Shabbos stands for Shena b'Shabbos Tanug, like we said, sleeping on Shabbos is a pleasure. Some rabbis would nap Shabbos afternoon on a chair, because when it's on a chair, it won't be as long as if it's on a bed. Mishna Berura rules that one is not allowed to say that he is napping in order that he will have strength after Shabbos. It's going to get discussed more in siman, later simanim. Last topic on our siman, 100 berachos on Shabbos. Torah says that one should recite more berachos on fruits throughout Shabbos in order to relate 100 berachos or other food items. Shulchan Aruch says that one should recite berachos on smells. Shulchan Aruch says that the berachos that are recited on the Torah and for Haftorah do not count towards the 100 berachos. Because Chubas relates in the present situation, one can fulfill his obligation of 100 berachos by listening to chazaros hashatz and the berachos that are said on the Torah and Haftorah. L'chachila, preferably one should say the berachos himself, or fulfill his obligation on berachos that he is obligated with by listening to someone else. So when a person gets an Eliya on Shabbos, that counts as 2 berachos because you said it yourself. You hear Kiddush from someone else, and you fulfill your obligation from his Kiddush, that counts as your bracha because you were obligated in that.
Berachos not considered bracha.
What?
Yeah, no, they don't count.
Which brachos?
No, saying Baruch Hu itself.
No. Chazaros hashatz, if you're chazan and you daven, that counts as brachos. Extra brachos for you. It's a bracha that you said. Aruch HaShulchan says that there are 2 reasons to have a lot of fruits.
The person has an opportunity to be a chazaros hashatz on Shabbos.
Great.
Say like mincha, you should.
Anytime. Great. Aruch HaShulchan says that there are 2 reasons to have a lot of fruits and the like on Shabbos. Firstly, it is in order to recite 100 brachos. Secondly, it is in order to be able to recite 100. That's a typo. Aruch HaShulchan says that there are 2 reasons to have a lot of fruits and the like on Shabbos. Firstly, in order to recite 100 brachos. Secondly, it is Oneg Shabbos. It is Oneg Shabbos. Even though one can get extra brachos by listening to the people who get aliyos, nevertheless, it is better to personally recite the berachos. On Shabbos, this is the mathematical calculation. On Shabbos, around 10 more berachos are needed in order to reach 100. The reason for this is 36 berachos are missing from 3 Shemona Esrei. Furthermore, 2 berachos from Tefillin and 1 bracha from Yureinu are missing, Yureinu at Marav. Thus, 39 berachos are missing on Shabbos, which we typically recite on a daily basis. However, we have additional berachos on Shabbos, such as Kiddush, which ends up being 3, 2 at night, 1 during the day in the morning. Furthermore, we have 7 berachos from Musaf. We also have 18 berachos from the meals, because each suda you wash first, you say a motzei first, you get 4 from benching, so that's 18. So we therefore have 24 berachos, we're therefore missing 11 berachos. Seems that women aren't obligated to recite 100 berachos daily. Should be pointed out that I thought about this a little bit more. We learned in hilchos Shalosh in Reish Ad Yalef, it's good to say a brei pri hagafen during Shalosh Shudas on Yayin. To have it on Shalosh Shudas. That's what we said. Tov, it was good. The Mishna Berura ruled that way. Others, so that's another bracha that you could get. You have to be careful not to say unnecessary brachas. That if you're just going to say a bracha and then a brain of fashis and 10 minutes later say another one, that's going to be an unnecessary bracha. So a person has to be careful of that. Bracha sheina sricha, bracha l'vatala. So that's more of a siman mem vav discussion. That's something that a person needs to be careful with, though.
To drink water before you go to shul Shabbos morning.
Yeah.
Then you go to shul and drink water.
That's fine.
It could be a double because
You change places. Now the general halacha is that it is permissible to drink water before shachris, as is discussed in the Gemara and Berachos, as well as the Torah Shulchan Aruch and Siman pay test, the Mishna Berura, like we learned over there. There is a kafachayim, if I'm not mistaken, that relates that a person shouldn't eat or drink anything before shachris. There is such an opinion. Yeah, most people.
When say make, I mean that's just
No. Mostly, it's a very big stringency. But if you do want to do that, so you brought up water before, so I'm gonna bring that up. So yeah, so this is basically the discussion we did learn in the derasha. We saw, is it all or nothing? If you can't get to 100, there was an argument: should you still try to get to as close as 100 as you could, or it's either 100, it's all or nothing.
Right.
We saw there were different opinions regarding that, and but again, this is a summary of everything that we did. Yeah, good. All right, everyone should have a wonderful day. Bruchim to remember to have a lavish suda in honor of Rosh Chodesh. The main one is during the day.
I'm gonna
What? Fleish?
Once a month, we'll never hurt a person.
Fleish?
What?
Fleish?
Fleish, we saw there were some opinions who said fleish. I personally will try to have some meat today.
Okay.
Yeah. All righty.
Man,
Have a wonderful day.
have a nice day.
Okay, thanks.